This is Elijah Craig Small Batch.
I'm Nick Pochner, and I'm a whiskey noob. Let's give it a try.
Yeah, this whiskey came across my radar after checking out this. I was scrolling on TikTok and I came across this guy's channel or account, Tyler Video Logs or Life Video Vlogs or something like that. And he had, a lot of videos that he would basically go over his routine after work, how he likes to relax. And he had a lot of whiskeys, and he just pour them in a glass over a large ice cube and sip it and relax. And this was one of the whiskeys that I noticed was very popular with him. So I saw it and I wanted to try it for myself to see if it is everything that it's chalked up to be. So I looked at a couple of reviews on YouTube of this whiskey. It seemed to be very well received and very much an entry-level bourbon whiskey. But let's just see what we got here. Elijah Craig Small Batch 1789 Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. Father of Bourbon with the signature on there. First to char oak barrels, and it's 94 proof. Made in true small batches for balance and smoothness, and it's 47% alcohol. Other than that, I guess we got a little government warning here on the side and says where it was distilled. Otherwise, pretty straightforward, simple bottle. Very nice. I really like the shape of the bottle here. And just looking through it, the color looks very nice. Nice amber, a little bit of brown color. I think we're in for a treat today. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest. I really do consider myself a whiskey noob, even though I've tried a few whiskeys in the past. But I'm really just starting my whiskey journey, and I figured this was a good one to start with. I'll get into more later about the whiskeys that I've tried in the past and kind of how I've come to this point to starting my whiskey journey, and just kind of my overall thoughts about whiskey in general. But we'll start with this. Like I said, seem to be very well received on YouTube, reviews that I've watched, and I guess we're just gonna find out for ourselves. I do consider myself a whiskey noob. I've only tried a few whiskeys so far, just sipping them neat around the rocks. But I figured we'd give this one a shot. Had very good reviews and stuff, so. So this technically is not a whiskey glass. I got this from a brewery, but it's the closest thing that I could find just for tasting whiskey. So go ahead and open this up. I love that noise. We'll pour it into the glass here. So I watched a few whiskey review videos myself, so I kind of have a good idea of the routine. Not that everybody has the same routine, but just kind of the basic rundown. But just looking at the color, it's got a very nice amber and doesn't seem like super heavy. Let's see how it is on the nose. It seems kind of oaky. I'm still trying to get my nose used to this whole thing, trying to be able to scent out the different notes in whiskey. So this might be a challenge. Yeah, I definitely smell an oak. I'm not sure what else I'm getting from that, honestly. I don't know. I'm still very young in my whiskey journey, so it's probably gonna take a minute. Some time actually trying different whiskeys, but
Let's try it on the palate. Yeah, there's definitely sweetness to it. Don't taste the oak as much on the palate. You more so on the nose. I didn't smell that sweetness though. That sweetness is definitely present on the palate. That's weird. But I kind of like that. Yeah, I'm not really sure. Like, there's a sweetness in there, but I'm not able to define the taste notes in there. That's probably gonna take some time. But, you know, this is like the fifth whiskey that I have tried neat. And this is over the last few years. So, definitely gonna take some time, but that is actually good. I'll say that's a pretty good whiskey. I could sip on that. I can kind of see why this is recommended as like a beginner's bourbon whiskey. It's not really too harsh, and it's got, like I said, it's got a sweetness on the palate. It's got a good scent on the nose. Yeah, I like that. I think I'm gonna pour some over ice and sip on it, and then I'll talk about like my whiskey history. Alright, I'm back. Got some of the Elijah Craig over ice. This is my whiskey sipping glass. I am still working on acquiring some like actual better whiskey sipping glasses and stuff. And then I want to get a like an ice tray for bigger ice cubes. Then I can just have a big square and it'll be all neat, but this will work for now. But I just kind of wanted to go over my whiskey history. I kind of got started, I guess, like 4.5 years ago during COVID. Not really quite sure what sparked my my craving for whiskey. I think it started with I was seeing cocktail recipes for Jack Daniel's Honey Mule. It was basically just Jack Daniel's Tennessee Honey with ginger beer, a lime, and some lime juice. And it was actually really good. Like, I'd come home from work, if I was working second shift, I'd come home and I'd just make one of those, have one or two. And they were really good, and then I got curious, like, what does it taste like by itself, maybe with ice? And I remember pouring it over some ice in a glass, and this is like pretty much my first time actually sipping on whiskey. And for just being straight whiskey, I didn't think it was bad at all. I think it's considered a honey liqueur. So it's not, you know, not really whiskey, but it, you know, kind of is. But that was my kind of introduction to whiskey. And then I started watching whiskey videos on YouTube. I think I was watching the history of Jack Daniel's and the distillery. And then YouTube started recommending whiskey videos, and I came across the Whiskey Tribe. So I started watching their videos and I subscribed to them. I found out about their Facebook group, just called Whiskey Tribe. So I joined and I started just following people's posts on there and got ideas for whiskeys that I wanted to try. But I kind of fell off. A few months later, I bought a bottle of Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Select. Not the barrel proof, just the regular Select. And I think it was like $60 almost. But I remember sipping on that and thinking it was quite strong. But you know, I didn't mind it. It was a decent sipper, but you know, I was still young into whiskey. So I did more research and found out Jack Daniel's Gold Number 27 was highly recommended as a sipping whiskey. So I ended up getting one of those for Christmas. And that bottle lasted me about 10 months. That's how much I did not sip on it. I don't know, I didn't really care for it. I didn't care for the taste. It was smooth, very, very smooth. But you know, I was still really young into whiskey, and just didn't care for the taste. No, a couple years later, you know, over those 2 years, I was still sipping on, or not, I was still drinking cocktails that had whiskey in them. Like, whiskey was my main alcohol of choice. Eventually, I was scrolling on TikTok. I found that guy's TikTok account, and him just sipping the whiskey on, you know, day after work. It seemed pretty relaxing, and then I found out like Elijah Craig was one of his favorites. So I went back to the Whiskey Tribe page, and I found out that yeah, like Elijah Craig was highly recommended. So I found a bottle of that, thanks to my mom. She gave it to me as a gift. But that's that bottle there, and I am pleasantly surprised. This is definitely a sipper I'd want to keep on hand, as well as this list of like 9 or 10 other whiskeys. You know, it can become expensive when you start collecting whiskey, when a lot of the bottles that you want to buy are like $30 to $80 generally. So I'll acquire them over time, but I definitely, I'm liking this one so far. So that's kind of my whiskey history. It's my first whiskey review video, but I might do more as I acquire more whiskeys and bourbons and make more review videos on them. But this is definitely a good one.
I also wanted to point out, I guess something I find really fascinating. I guess one reason I find whiskey so fascinating is you got all these different brands, and each brand has so many different varieties, and I just find that very intriguing, and it makes me want to get out there and explore, you know, just try all the different kinds. Of course, I do have a list of priority that I want to get through first, and once I've explored those whiskeys, then I'll kind of branch out and see what else is out there. But I guess, you know, I do find that very interesting about whiskey, and it's one of the spirits that, you know, you can just sit down and sip with your friends. Like bourbon, whiskey, scotch, and I guess tequila, people will drink that and just sip it, which to me is weird. Like, I have never, ever had a tequila that I actually enjoyed. This seems so weird that people will sit down and sip on tequila. But that's just my opinion. But I could, like, scotch, bourbon, whiskey, like, those are 3 spirits that I could see people just sitting down and sipping on, whether with their friends or, you know, wherever. But I guess I just find that really intriguing. Yeah, I just thought I'd point that out.
Very, very good over ice. I'm not gonna lie. Just tames it down a little bit, but maintains that sweetness and that oakiness. A little bit of char in there, but very, very good. So, thanks for checking out the channel. Thanks for watching. See you later.